Coming up this weekend, Gerald Meerschaert submits Bruno Silva. Bruno Silva knocks out Gerald Meerschaert. I think that's what happened. I could be right, I could be wrong, but when we do look at this matchup, Matt, a really fun one at middleweight. And for Gerald Meerschaert, has records in this division, all-time records. Tied for third, all-time, with most finishes in the division at 9. He's tied with Derek Brunson, Chris Lieben, the Crippler, and Nate Marquardt, a nickname that doesn't really withstand the strength of time.
Nate the Great.
Division leader, I meant more for Chris Lieben, is 11, Anderson Silva, but he is number 1 all-time with most submissions in this division. He has 9 finishes, 8 of them are by submission, and listen, Damian Maia is in second place at 5 all-time, and people might not think Damian Maia the middleweight, but remember, he did challenge for the belt against Anderson Silva.
Abu Dhabi.
And just an absolute stinker. Dana White cast off the Anderson Silva. We don't need him anymore. He's boring. But when it does come to this matchup, Gerald Meerschaert has beaten a very, very similar opponent. Was not an easy road, but he did beat Mahmoud Muradov, where they went strike for strike, tit for tat. Muradov looked great in the first round. The money team's own. And then in the second round, he had no gas left, and Gerald Meerschaert took over.
And that was the problem with that fight, and that's sort of what Gerald Meerschaert does to everybody who's better than him at striking. Because, spoiler alert, most guys in the middleweight division can outstrike Gerald Meerschaert, but that's not what MMA is about. If it was just striking, we'd be watching Glory Kickboxing and not MMA. What Gerald Meerschaert's really good at doing is finding out the exact point that you get tired at, and then he puts it on you. And honestly, I really like that from Gerald Meerschaert, because He's a lot more terrifying of a fighter than you would probably think looking at GM3. He's 34-15, kind of a salty record. He's been in there a lot, been finished.
He beat Jay Ellis. He lost to Jay Ellis.
But something that Chael Sonnen always says, and it really stands out in my mind, is MMA fighters aren't necessarily afraid of losing. It happens. It's part of the sport. This isn't boxing. You don't have to be undefeated. Every MMA fighter is afraid of being exhausted in the cage, though, because it doesn't matter how good you are technically. If you have no cardio, if you are at the brink of what you have in your gas tank, none of that other stuff matters, and your opponent, if they have a better gas tank or cardio than you do, can kind of put the fight wherever they want to. And Gerald Meerschaert has made a career off of doing that, and that's why I always love watching a Gerald Meerschaert fight, because that's what you said. He's going to eat some big power shots, he might get knocked out, he might not.
Might be 15 seconds
exactly.
Against Hamzat.
But if it doesn't happen, he's going to drag you into those deep waters like Jason Voorhees, and he's going to be able to submit you. But here's the thing about Bruno Silva that has really gone unnoticed, I feel like. What did Alex Pereira do to Sean Strickland, the 4th-ranked fighter in the division, the last time they fought? He hit him with one shot, put him down, hit him with another shot that put him away. Bruno ate some of the cleanest shots I've ever seen on the feet in the middleweight division and landed his own against a great striker too. And I think that's a big deal going into this fight because Bruno Silva showed a grappling side of his just MMA career.
Which he said he wasn't going to do, by the way.
But you know what I like? Even though he didn't have a ton of success with it, I know it's there. And I do think Bruno Silva, do I think he can grapple with Gerald Meerschaert? Not at all. I'm not an idiot. But I think he can go through a couple bad positions and show a good gas tank because that's the last thing. Bruno Silva didn't fall off a cliff with his cardio in the third round of that fight with Pereira. It was a very high output fight where both guys were landing a lot of big power shots and Bruno Silva was eating bombs on the feet. I think Silva's going to be able to fight this fight a lot more at his own pace, which will prevent him from tiring out in the third round. But like you said with the Murzakanov fight, we've seen Gerald Meerschaert go up against power punches, who are supposed to knock him out early, who are supposed to kind of make a career off of GM3. You know what Gerald Meerschaert says? Nuh-uh. None of that. I'm going to be old, I'm going to be good at grappling, and I'm going to submit you.
And then we saw him fight Krzysztof Jotko in a fight where Jotko was able to take him down and control parts of that fight on the ground. Whoever thought a kickboxer was going to do that?
I got to be honest, do you know what fight that I always go to when I start to worry about Gerald Meerschaert on the feet? It's the Ian Heinisch matchup. Because here's the thing, you get knocked out by Hamzat Chimaev, I don't care. Hamzat's awesome. At middleweight, at welterweight, he's very, very good no matter what weight class he's at.
Bangkok ready Heinisch.
Ian Heinisch puts in his Twitter bio that he's a top 25 fighter in the UFC to sell cryptocurrencies. I don't necessarily... You can look at his bio right now. I'm a top 20 fighter, MRI, there's all this stuff with crypto. People gotta get out of my DMs. Gerald Meerschaert in that fight did not look comfortable on the feet, and that's what I'm worried about with Meerschaert. It feels like when he's ready, when he's on, he can eat those power shots. He understands that, okay, I'm gonna have to eat those power shots to then get through the second and third round and hopefully get a finish. With Bruno Silva, though, he has decent takedown defense. He has a good gas tank, maybe not great gas tank. I would say good takedown defense against guys with the takedowns of Gerald Meerschaert. Let me clarify that. But
El Dierte rinsed and repeated until Bruno Silva was able to do the Gerald Meerschaert, but on the feet.
Here's the thing, though. El Dierte did that to Anthony Smith, who then went on to fight for a UFC title. So Sanchez can do that to anybody in the UFC, and he still got knocked out at the end. So that's the big thing about Silva. He doesn't have a lot of the pitfalls that traditionally these power punchers have at this division. Do I think he has great 5-round cardio against a guy like Paulo Costa or Marvin Vettori? Well, no, that's kind of a ridiculous statement to make. But I think this is a very fun fight for the fans. I think it's a fight that could go either way, but I don't know how Gerald Meerschaert is going to have an answer for the pure striking of Bruno Silva.
The awkward thing for me, if you've been following along with the channel for a long time, I've been a big Bruno Silva guy since before he was in the UFC, M1 Global Champ.
These guys.
I thought Artem Frolov was going to be a big deal in the UFC, and then Bruno Silva starched him. And then Silva was out, the USADA issues. He makes his UFC debut. He fights his former teammate Wellington Turman, finishes him. They play touch button on the park, or touch button in the park on the ground. He finishes Andrew Sanchez after... I'm sitting there, Louis smoking in that fight. If we just keep making those references,
Andrew Sanchez has done that to a lot of good fighters.
Yeah, but you're so puckered up where Bruno Silva just takedown, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. There's no takedown defense. He has no answer, and Silva was a pretty big favorite in that fight. Then finally in the third round, he gets the finish. He then goes out and fights Jordan Wright. They go strike for strike. He knocks out Jordan Wright, and then his last time out takes on Alex Pereira, where people were like, okay, Pereira at this time's what, 3-1. This is a former M1 Global Champ, but Pereira's favored to win. We picked Pereira to win. He did get the win.
He's pretty good, guys.
I still have high damn hopes for Bruno Silva. So Pereira's going to fight for the title at UFC 281. I think Silva beats Gerald Meerschaert in this fight. Obviously, the threat of the takedown, the fact that Gerald Meerschaert's broken his bubble of Rufus Sport. He's trained at Fusion XL, but for this camp at Sanford MMA with one Ian Heinisch. He's at that gym now, too. So, good opportunities for Gerald Meerschaert to try and shore up a little bit of the striking. Maybe mitigate some of those times where he's standing there with his hands out and his head up and he doesn't move it. So, good opportunity for Gerald Meerschaert. Very much a pro Meerschaert channel ever since he fought
submission specialist.
Ryan James back in Halifax, Nova Scotia, Canada. The odds, Meerschaert open plus 170, plus 220 or thereabouts now. Silva opened minus 200. Blindado minus 280. Over-under, Matt, on Tapology. The fan vote is as surprise to us as it is to you. I'm going to say over-under 80% Bruno Silva.
I'll say over.
I'm going to say over. It is over. Just kind of a surprise. I'll be honest, I set that high and I was hoping it was going to be under.
I thought it'd be like 95 just because of the knockout prowess of Silva.
744 total votes, 88% Silva, 87% by knockout. For those 13% that have Meerschaert, 73% by knockout. Or, sorry, by submission. That'd be wild if it was by knockout. Yeah, I think Bruno Silva wins this fight. Would I be surprised if Meerschaert takes a leg home to put on his mantle? Because he's probably...
A leg a little bit.
Yeah, he's probably a leg man, like, the father in Christmas Carol.
He's a choke man for sure.
That leg lantern, like a thigh. But for me, I do have Bruno Silva here. I don't love the takedown defense, but keeping it on the feet, keeping a pace, I think Silva can do it. I've seen it before. I have him here.
Alderte's wrestled a lot of guys. The fact that Bruno Silva has shown the ability to keep his power late into fights gives me a little bit more confidence. I know a lot of people are down on a performance like that because Alderte, who cares? But again, if you go back and watch a lot of Andrew Sanchez's fights, he was able to out-wrestle a lot of top-level fighters in the UFC. The problem was, it wasn't sustainable. He'd out-wrestle you for 2 rounds, become a striker in the 3rd round, and we kind of all saw what happened when he became a striker in the 3rd round against Silva. I think this is going to be an incredible fight because, again, Meerschaert's not the type of guy who's going to go down from one punch. I know you can look at the Hamzat fight, know we one-punched him, but still, I think Meerschaert does have a good enough chin to make this fight competitive and interesting. I do think we'll learn a lot about Bruno Silva in this matchup, and like you said, I agree. I think Bruno Silva's probably going to get the win. He will get the win. That'll be the prediction. But he's got to get after it at a certain point. Like at 33 years of age.
I think he is right now, Matt.
Does Gerald Meerschaert get you that close to the rankings, though?
Yeah, I think he does. After you just fought Alex Pereira, you beat Meerschaert, and then you fight like Kelvin Gastelum.
That's all. I'm just saying, Meerschaert's coming off a loss, so maybe to me, I don't necessarily think that this is the win that gets you in the rankings. You can argue against that. I would agree with you if you can make a good enough point, but I do still like Bruno Silva. I just feel like after this fight, a Brad Tavares would be a fun opponent next, maybe. Just one of those guys in that 10 to 15 kind of range that would really teach us a lot more about Silva, because the fact that you had a very competitive fight, a very fun fight with a guy who's now fighting for the title, makes me want to see more of you against the highest levels of competition. So I like Silva this weekend, but I'm very curious to see where this gets him.
Great opportunity for both of these men. Let us know down below in the comment section who you have. Both of us going with Brazil's Blindado, Bruno Silva to get the win. Big time main event on the way. Marlon Vera taking on Dominic Cruz. You're not going to want to miss it. Keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks, we always say.
Let's get into it.